Hey guys, Tisha here, and we are back with another Real Housewives of Potomac. And I'm so sick of this, but I told y'all I'm gonna finish it out. I just really feel like at this point they're dragging everything out. So we pick up the episode with Robin crying because Candace implied that she may have had something to do with why her husband was fired. She is the victim in this situation, and so is her husband because everybody is talking about her and him. Just like how everybody was talking about Candace and her husband, Chris. But for some reason, unlike Chris, according to Robin, Juan doesn't talk about anybody or pick on anybody. Chris did say that Robin not holding Giselle accountable is a problem. And I'll be honest, to me, that's fair. The problem is that as the man in this situation, a lot of times the wives do not want to hear anything regarding you basically holding them accountable for their mess. We've seen it. We see Giselle had a problem when Chris held her accountable for her mess and tried to act like the husband was gonna do something. Monique's husband. I might be calling him the wrong name. Everybody, don't mind me. It's been a day, but yeah. So they go back and forth, and they basically determine in the car before they get to this event that they aren't friends. They walk out. Robin, to me, is not crying just because of Candace implying whatever she implied and whatever Wendy said. I feel like the statement that was made by Candace wasn't that deep. Her saying that her speaking may have aided in him being fired didn't have anything to do with him being fired. You said it yourself. So why are you sitting here making this a thing? I think she's crying because she knows Juan is a fool. Robin is crying because for once the heat is on her. She's crying because there is some truth to what is being said about her husband, not about the firing situation, but about everything, about the cheating allegations and all those other things. And Wendy and Candace sitting here feeling bad for her and stuff is getting on my nerves because this woman has not treated you all fairly. I don't care about what happened beforehand with Candace and Robin and how at one point they were supposedly friends and they hung out outside the show and all those other things. I care about what's happening currently. And currently, Giselle lied on Candace's husband. And rather than Robin sticking by Candace the whole time, shortly after a certain point, she no longer held Giselle accountable, which is what always happens. So I don't feel bad for her. I also think that Wendy doesn't need to feel bad for her because Wendy, when the things were happening to you and drinks were getting thrown in your face, she was sitting there trying to film you acting like you were the aggressor. So let's not forget, what's happened. They arrived at the chicken bingo completely overdressed. The name of it alone let me know that they didn't need to wear what they were wearing. I don't understand how if Ashley was the one who did it, found these things, sponsored these trips, and didn't inform the ladies of the attire that they should have on or looking it to her. Just seems stupid. Anyways, so we find out that chicken poop bingo is where there's this wooden board with all the numbers on it. People basically bet on a number, and whatever spot that the chicken poops on, whatever number it lands on, the people who bet on that number or the person gets to keep the whole pie. And that's all it is. So you're sitting there betting on chicken, waiting for it to poop while you either dance, eat, or drink. Doesn't sound like fun to me, but the ladies made the best of it. As they sit down at the table, Giselle looks at Robin and says, "Are you okay?" And Robin begins the waterworks as Mia tries to speak for her about what happened. Robin says that this is beyond just hurting her. It's hurting her husband and hurting her family and that this is his life. Girl, nobody on the cast said anything that held that much validity where this would hurt your husband, your family, or your life. I'm not buying it. Unlike what was done to I don't know, Candace's husband, but we're not gonna hear about that because that doesn't matter because it happened to Candace. Candace then is at the other end of the table crying, and I was sitting there like, okay, Candace, come on now. I understand that she might be upset because her and Robin no longer are close, along with all the stuff that she went through in regards to her husband. But I need her to suck it up, because when she does things like this, her message gets lost in translation, because the ladies think that she's just doing things for attention, which it kind of does come off as attention seeking when you sitting there making all those other faces crying while she's crying. Not saying that she didn't feel bad for Robin, but me personally, I didn't feel bad for Robin, because I feel like Robin was faking. I feel like it was a bit much. Woe is me. Feel bad for me. If I cry about this, maybe they won't question me about this any longer. Of course, Giselle is sitting there thinking that after she made those statements that Candace should apologize to Robin. I think not. She says what she did to Robin is the type of stuff that enemies do, and I personally just don't care at this point. Mia and crew see Candace crying and they get irritated with her for crying. Robin is sitting there and she ends up getting up and saying that she wants to go outside. Giselle looks at her and says, I'll be out there shortly. Now, for some odd reason, Mia decides to get up and follow her. And Wendy is like, where are you going? Where is she going? She just wants to be included so badly, and she does. Mia will do anything to be included, and she feels like wherever Giselle is, that's where she needs to be. It's obvious that that's what Mia does. So Mia is following behind Robin. And even though she wants to be alone, she's still following her. So eventually Robin just sits down on the curb, steps away from Mia. Mia stands there even though the girl says she wants to be alone. Robin is on the curb acting like a wounded bird. Once again, we don't care. We then see back in the restaurant, well, the bar, the ladies walking around with the chicken by the name of Killer and being pet, and by Ashley, because Ashley just wants to pet all the birds, and Karen is sitting there scared and she's freaking out because she's allergic to chicken. I don't know if Karen is truly allergic to chicken, but I do know that my mom is, and it's a serious allergy. Even when we were little and she used to clean the chicken and stuff, she would have on gloves, and she definitely doesn't eat it. She's a vegan now, but so it may be some validity to it. I don't know. Ashley seems to be the only one really excited about this at first, but we eventually see like Wendy and Candace, well, not Candace really, Wendy and Karen kind of come around to it, and the ladies end up having fun. Giselle then goes outside to talk and check on Robin. She talks to Mia first while she sees Robin sitting there, and she's talking about how strong Robin is and how Robin, doesn't like to express things and all these other things. Like Robin isn't sitting there a few feet away and she can't hear the whole conversation. Giselle will take any possible moment to continue to dig at Candace as she demands so much of Candace while she's not willing to do it the same thing that she wants from Candace. So she wants Candace to take accountability and apologize, but Giselle doesn't take accountability for the crap that she's done. So who is she to demand that of Candace? Candace feels like she can't be friends with Robin because at this point she's cool with Giselle, who has done all this stuff to her and her husband. And it's gotten to the point where she's like, if you can't hold your friend accountable, then I can't be a friend with you. Then don't be a friend with her. She's shown you that when it comes to you or Giselle, she's going to pick Giselle. So let it go. This is a conversation to me that Candace should be having away from people like Ashley and Nneka, but she's going to have it while they're there. And Nneka, who obviously does not know Candace, is sitting there talking about how Wendy is influencing her and telling her what to say and what to think and how to feel. And I don't feel that way. I think Wendy was trying to get Candace to tighten up because she was doing a bit much at the table, as well as trying to acknowledge how Candace was feeling. Now, Candace said that she doesn't know for sure if Robin's commentary is what got Juan fired, right? I think that Candace is bothered because she knows that Robin was moving funny, right? And that she felt that Robin, knowing what was going on with her, could have easily revealed her truth and taken some of that heat off with her regarding her husband, as well as the false accusations that Giselle made that she knew were false. She didn't really hold Giselle to the fire like she should have. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And I understand that they're on a platform and all those other things. But if you're my friend and I know you're doing something wrong, I'm going to call you out on it. Now, I may not do it for everybody to see, but I'm going to shut you down enough to know that at some point my friend would have came out and apologized for what was implied. Period. Candace stands on the fact that Robin shouldn't have been speaking about a situation when it's a legal manner. And she says that is part of the reason why I'm not speaking on my situation. What do I look like talking about what's going on with me when the person who's suing me's wife is at the table? And I say Candace does a lot of things, but Candace isn't dumb. Candace is aware of some of the things that she does. And in this instance, Candace is right. We then see that Robin, Giselle, and Mia go to the hotel. I don't understand why Mia went. I really don't understand why Giselle went, but I guess Giselle was trying to be a good friend. But Mia going really makes no sense whatsoever. But this goes back to Mia wanting to be a part of the core group. Giselle is sitting there in the car saying that Candace is acting like a victim. And Robin is saying that there's no justification for what she did. Nothing that Candace did was right. And I'm like, okay, what are we talking about here? Are we talking about the stuff that she said on the internet or what just happened at the table? Because nothing that Candace said at the table or in the vehicle was that serious for it to be turned into this. I'm just over all these females playing in our faces about this situation. I'm tired of Giselle getting away with crap, but then expecting for other people in this cast to be held at a different standard than her. They talk about how what Candace did was extreme cyberbullying and all this other mess. Then handle it with Candace. Because when Giselle wasn't around, even though you were making your slick marks in confessional, you didn't have a problem with the girl wearing your slippers because some part of you really isn't that bothered by Candace. But right now, I guess, you are because of, I don't know, Giselle. Maybe from some of the stuff that she said as well. But before she said what she said, your beef came because of Giselle. It's day 3 in Austin. It's Karen's birthday. Candace calls her husband to talk about the drama. He tells her, he understands that she had a moment, but just try to enjoy kayaking. We then see Giselle show up at Karen's with a bottle, M&Ms, and a Snicker. Karen says that all looks like hotel stuff, but I'm okay with it because before this would never happen. Me and Giselle are in a much better place. Karen does not really want to celebrate with the ladies because she says they don't know how to act. Giselle tells Karen that she understands that she wants everybody to have like this kumbaya moment and get along. But at this point, she's done with Candace because she didn't like the narrative that Candace put forth regarding Giselle treating people differently because of their skin. This is what I'm going to say about this. Whether or not Giselle realizes it, I can see why Candace and social media did say that there were times where different people were treated differently based on their skin complexion. I don't care what the optics look like. I've seen colorism in my own family. Right? So if I've seen colorism in my own family in regards to them checking behind my child's ears to see if he was going to be my complexion or more like his father's complexion, or them looking at his knuckles and things of that nature, I do believe that whether she realizes it or not, there are some colorist behaviors with Giselle. We can agree to disagree, but keep it respectful in the comment section. That's how I feel about that. So Candace didn't start that narrative. I feel like social media started it. And then I feel like what Candace did was she picked up on it because she had, already been observing some things herself. And then she called it out. There are some truths to it. She says because of what Candace said, it caused her to have hundreds of death threats. She crossed the line and they'll never get back. And it put her kids in danger. Now, I can't speak to whether or not Giselle's kids were in danger. I would hope that she wouldn't lie about it. I will say this. Nothing that Giselle does is deep enough for me personally to want to make any type of death threat. And people really not ought to take it that far. You don't know this lady. You're not coming into contact with her, even though she's annoying and she does certain things. It's not that deep for you to reach out and to make death threats. That's not okay as far as I'm concerned. And this is coming from a person who doesn't care for Giselle. All right. Karen says, you know what? We both have beautiful brown babies and I get it. So I will leave that alone and I will no longer push that. And Giselle, is thankful for that. We then see Mia get a call from Gordon. He's talking to her about the attorney, and we know that he is owed $500,000 from his siblings. His attorney finally reached their attorney, and for some reason, Mia doesn't want him to pursue it. Mia contradicts herself constantly because in the beginning of the season, she's sitting there complaining about how they've had to downsize and how the money isn't the same. But here you're sitting here saying that you don't want your man to pursue a $500,000 that he's owed. I would think you would want him to because it will also help vindicate him. It just doesn't make sense. We then see the ladies head to the kayaks where Karen plans to not participate because she can't swim and she doesn't feel like doing that type of work. Candace in the beginning doesn't participate either, but she later gets in the boat. We see the ladies walking over to the different kayaks, and I couldn't help but notice Wendy struggling. Why are you wearing stilettos when you know that you're going to an outdoor event? Do you not own sneakers? As the ladies are in their boats, Candace is talking to Karen and she thanks her for being there for her. The rest of the ladies are kayaking and having a good time. Candace has wine. We then see Karen giving people wine. They taking it to the head left and right. Eventually, Mia pulls out a wine and drinks it while NECA is paddling, and the ladies have a good time. They then leave to go ahead to eat. Karen is renovating her grandmother's home, which is beautiful. I'm not going to get into all of that, but the bottom line is that she wants to spruce it up, turn it kind of like into a resort for the area, and that she feels like it's good for more Black people to own farmlands and previous plantations. We then see Robin, who calls Juan. She claims that financially things are the same because he still has 15 months left on his contract. She then talks about how after that, she hopes he already finds a job by that point. She tells the issues to him that she's had with some of the ladies. She talks about how Karen called her out for not being honest about what was going on and how Candace said that she probably was to blame for him being fired and etc. It's really not that deep. But Robin is giving this legs. And no sooner am I typing this in my notes, do we have him sounding extremely annoyed with her, saying that she's being triggered. And he's like, you're feeding into it. He wants her to stop feeding into it. He said, you get emotional for something that is not their life and doesn't concern them. It's our life. Which, even though I don't like Juan, he's right. But part of the problem, Juan, is your wife didn't present this right, and neither did you, because y'all tried to skirt around the issue, make it seem like it wasn't a big deal when you hid it from production and the show. And now that it's coming out and you're filming with these ladies, they're going to have questions. But me personally, I don't care because we're not going to be told the truth. So I want them to stop talking about this. We've been talking about this since the first episode, and I'm over it. Juan sounded like a little boy having a tantrum on the phone while he was talking to Robin, and he gets upset with her, says that it's making his skin crawl right now, and he hangs up on her. And that is the end of this episode. If there were things that I did not talk about and you would like to talk about them, put them down below in the comment section. I'm finding it really hard to take notes on this mess because I'm just so not interested at this point. They need to figure out something because it's not working. You all let me know what you think. Please like the video if you haven't already. And until next time.